Are you worried about disappointing people when you speak in public? Perhaps disappointing your boss, disappointing your audience, or disappointing yourself? Sometimes when you're afraid of public speaking or even just speaking up for yourself, there's more to that fear than meets the eye. If you're afraid of judgment, letting people down, or worse, letting yourself down, then this video is for you. Stick around. Q&A Tuesday, all your voice questions answered. Hi, I'm Elisa James, holistic voice and presentation coach, and I help people from all walks of life break through their blockages to self-expression so that they can speak with calm confidence anytime. A fear of disappointing people can be one of the biggest factors that robs you of success in life. If you hold your tongue, you don't say what you really feel, or you avoid speaking your truth, then you're probably afraid of what other people might say or think, and you're using that as an excuse to stay quiet. This pattern of behavior is really just a habit that you've gotten yourself into, and it will absolutely stop you from being more successful. So let's look at ways you can break this pattern and you can start communicating from a place of safety and confidence instead of a place of fear. Number one, your origin story. When we really start to dig deep and find the root cause of this pattern, you might find that the very first time that you held your tongue was a long time ago. And then you'll probably find that there are dozens of other situations in your childhood where you reacted in pretty much the same way to the same type of situation. In this case, we're talking about speaking up for yourself. So let me share with you an example that might be relevant to you. When I was in the 3rd grade, I was about 7 years old and pretty much the shyest kid that you'd ever meet. I hardly said boo in class. I sat up the back and minded my own business, pretty much already socially anxious. Then one day, a loud, annoying kid took the seat next to me in class. She kept talking and asking questions, and I was trying to listen to the teacher. When finally I answered one of her questions just to get her to shut up, the teacher sprung me for talking out of turn and promptly sent me to the principal's office where I got the cane. Yeah, I didn't tell the teacher that it wasn't me causing the disturbance. I didn't tell the principal what really happened either. I didn't even tell my parents that day. I lied. I took the blame for something that I didn't do. I shut my mouth out of fear of getting into more trouble by arguing or speaking up. Because that's what I'd already learned. The more you argue or speak up for yourself, the more you get into trouble, and the more you create a scene, and the more you disappoint people. It was an avoidance strategy that I adopted as a child to keep the peace and not have to deal with angry people that were likely to create a scene. When you look back at the first instances of these experiences in your life, you can find out when and where you adopted these habits, and you can start to understand yourself a little bit better. And after all, this is just a habit, a pattern that we need to break. So now that we have some understanding of why we adopted that particular strategy, now we can start looking at better ways of dealing with it. Let's move on. Number 2, the 2 R words. Breaking the old and building the new. Now that we know where the habit and pattern came from to be afraid to speak up, let's look at how you can change that. The very first thing that we need to do is stop those fear chemicals from kicking in so we can calm down that trigger the second it rears its ugly head. You see, the trigger is not actually the problem. We all have triggers. It's how you react to your triggers that count. The first step is knowing what triggers you and how you have commonly reacted to it in the past. For example, when I was at my worst, I went completely the opposite way to when I was a little girl. In my 20s, instead of holding my tongue, I would lash out in anger and frustration and get into even more trouble than I needed to. Now this, of course, was not a great strategy. When I'd matured a little more and immersed myself into the world of personal development, I started being able to identify what situations and behaviors triggered me. I learned a different way. Instead of reacting with no conscious thought, I used this strategy instead. When I felt the trigger coming up, I would stop, breathe, leave a pause, and then respond from a more calm and sensible place. The most important tool to use in effective and calm communication is that. Train yourself to respond instead of react. React is what a wild, untamed animal does. A conscious response, well, that's only what humans are capable of, not animals. Number 3, communication strategies for success. Now that you've learned to calm down your triggers, it's time to start to speak up and practice making some noise. Once you feel you have more control over your emotions, let's start placing you in some situations where you can test your new skill set. A few tangible ways you can do this at work or at home is with the following exercise. First, we need to start practicing building confidence in yourself and your skill set by talking positively about yourself. A great place to start is with the Google initiative called I Am Remarkable. This is like stating your worth out loud to the world. First, make a list of all the things that make you unique, that make you you, like physical attributes, your values, your personality traits, all the good things, of course. An example is this: I am remarkable personally because I'm a good person, I'm kind, I'm approachable, I'm friendly, I'm loving, etc. Good attributes only, remember. Now do the same exercise again using your professional skills instead. For example, I'm remarkable professionally because I'm a good performer, I'm a great teacher, I'm really good at my job, and I'm passionate about what I do, and so forth. The more you practice these out loud, the better you get. In some circles, they might call this tooting your own horn. Well, which some people frown upon. But sometimes we need to toot our own horn, especially if we've had a lifetime of other people dragging us down and treating us badly. It's time for you to become your own best friend, your biggest cheerleader, your biggest fan. You deserve it. So start practicing and toot your own horn below and share with me what makes you remarkable. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.